Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for our 11th symposium. Such a great honor to have all of you and all of our presenters. We will be talking about legacy and how it relates to future generations. So our first presenter is Priscah. Priscah is here. Priscah, are you ready?
Yes, please.
Okay, so your PowerPoint is on screen. So she will
Yes.
go ahead and present, and then if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat and we will do it at the end of her presentation. Go ahead, Priscah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, good morning to everyone, wherever you are. I'm Priscah JK Rongoei, and I'm presenting an overview of my life legacy to future generation. I work at the university as a teacher, and that is why my legacy will be dealing more on interacting with people, that is the students, the staff, and the community in general. So I can start straight away. My presentation is outline. I'll be dealing with the studies and the student assistants at the department, and the work program that I've been dealing with on daily basis, participation at the conferences and the workshops. These are part of my legacy, and the research work and articles that I've already written and presented, and the outreach and corporate responsibility, which means that the interaction between me and the community surrounding us. And then I love a conclusion and a way forward for the next generation. I'll start with my studies and the student assistance. My studies, I studied as a young age. When I was dealing with my studies, I was interacting with my family members. And my dad used to tell me that if you can be able to make in life, please make sure that you also do with other people. Don't do it for yourself, but do it for others too. And that kept it on in my mind that I should be able to interact with people, not only to pass the exam, not only to be smart in everything, but also to interact with people and see how I can be able to assist them. And surely when I started school and when I passed my high school, I went first for a diploma course in environmental studies. So this was a young course. It was being started, it was new. Although I was discouraged to do the same thing, I could not be discouraged because I was motivated for the fact that I was interacting with nature most of the time. So I loved nature, and I said that by doing these environmental studies, I'll be able to interact with nature well. So I became a student. I joined my Egerton University here in Kenya, which I did environmental science. As I went on, I went on to master's program in the Netherlands. It was a joint program that was dealing with Netherlands and the Austria and also the university in Kenya. And I did also environmental science, but now specifically on limnology and wetland management. While I was doing this, I did a lot of work that was dealing with research that was also interacting with people and looking at how they interact with the wetland areas. And this is because most of the livelihoods within our continent in this region, they depend mainly on resources that come from the wetland. And this is why it motivated me into doing a research in the wetland management areas. And as I was still working on this MSc, this is the time that I have guided most of the students that were also doing the undergraduate as well as the master's programs. During this time also, when I did my graduation, I did some field work outside, which meant that it was not really studies, but I involved myself in some research work that was dealing with the communities. And this was the time that I interacted with the community members and really understood what they required. And for volunteer work sometimes could be done where you may not be paid anything, but you'll have to use your money to do a lot of work. This academic program also has helped me to be able to advise the students at the department where I am working in academically, as well as encouraging them not to keep up, but to continue to be able to do the work. So during this program, I realized that I needed to get to expand my territory, and I registered myself in AIU to be able to do my PhD. And I want to expand my knowledge and the skills and the interaction, forming networks with others to be able to understand better on what I can be able to contribute in doing and in also telling others on how they can be able to do the work. So my PhD is also dealing with the environmental science, and I've done some coursework that I'm still working on them. And I'm right now in my phase 3, which I'm working on my project. So I feel that AIU has really broadened my scope in my studies, because there are so many things that I've learned through their program, because it is open. It is something that you can be able to learn several things that you may not have been able to meet in other programs. So it is really flexible and meeting or suitable for me. I can fit into it. At the same time, when I look at the work program, this work program, I teach on daily basis. This teaching is not easy, but it really involves. I teach mainly the environmental education. I also teach environmental pollution and control and biodiversity conservation. And mostly in this work of teaching, you have to administer several field work and the practical sessions to the students, not only teaching them, but also making them to do them physically and involve them in doing that work. Some of the things that I've been able to achieve, the department is to prepare teaching manuals and teaching and practical manuals for the different courses that I'm teaching. That is the biodiversity, environmental pollution, industrial management, as well as also the environmental health. And I found that while you are doing this work, you get to learn more. You get to be updated with several issues that are getting into the issues of this environment. And I loved to get more to deeper issues on this environmental pollution, because it has really become an issue within our environment. And I feel that if I continue with this, I can also be able to give the students the updated work that they require within their environment and their studies. I've also participated in reviewing our programs, the undergraduate programs, as well as the diploma programs within the department, which is very crucial in our university, because this is the work that is usually done after every 4 years. So it is being reviewed to see that what is new in the environment, and therefore we add that within our teaching sessions, such that we don't remain behind, but also to be working a par with other institutions that are dealing with environmental issues. So it is good that I can, with my daily work, I interact with the students, I interact with the staff, and I interact also with the community members who come to really want to know, what is this environmental science thing? What do you do to be able to protect the environment, or to be able to protect the resources that are available within the environment or the society that we are part in? And then at the same time, I usually participated the conferences. And the new conference that I participated was in this year in July, which was dealing with the landscape restoration, scaling virtual, it was a virtual conference, catalyzing action for landscape restoration. This was a conference that was dealing mainly on the restoration of degraded environment, and especially the forest, the ecosystems within our environment. And within these forest ecosystems, it becomes the catchment for other areas like the rivers, the lakes that are being affected because of the destruction of this environment. So it was an eye-opener. This conference was an eye-opener because I got to interact with people who are dealing with restoration programs at different scales and at different regions. And also with people who are dealing with linking indigenous knowledge with the restoration of the landscape, which is very important at the moment, because by involving the indigenous community, then it is going to be successful because and more sustainable, because the people themselves know the importance of doing that restoration, because they are the ones who depend on these ecosystem services that are being provided by these ecosystems. I've also been able to present a paper that was dealing with the use of indigenous knowledge in ecological restoration in the community of Nandi here in Kenya. And for sure, as I went and interacted with the community members, this was when I got so much knowledge on the issues that these old people have in terms of how they interacted with the environment and suggested ways on how it can be able to be managed at the moment. So ecosystems have been degraded because of the negligence of our society. But the moment we can be able to assist these communities and interact with them, then it becomes possible for us to be able to involve them in the restoration programs. Also, I've participated in various workshops that are involved with the staff members within the department that are dealing with the innovation delivery and methodologies in terms of agricultural services, and at the same time in terms of proposal development workshops that have helped the department as well as the institution to be able to come up with ways on how they can be able to manage the institution, the agriculture site and the environment. So we are linking the environment first as the agriculture to be able to help us in terms of getting the services that the environment can provide, protecting them, and at the same time using agricultural tools that can be able to help us to continue protecting our environment. Also, I was involved in the Tropical Biology Association, whereby they had the workshop on popular scientific writing. And this was an eye-opener too, because in writing, it requires a lot of work, a lot of concentration. And in this way, we were told in this conference that it is possible to write a research or scientific article by using just the normal language, a language that a layman person can be able to understand. The community members can be able to read and be able to understand what you really mean by what the scientific results that you have come up with. So it is good that this knowledge has been also through this interaction, I have been able to interact with the students and be able to teach them on how they can be able to write those results that they have come up with. Also, undertake the self-assessment of academic programs that are organized by the Directorate of Quality Assurance. This is mainly work that has been done within the department. Usually, this self-assessment is being done always after every 4 years, which means that most of these programs requires that Are you really meeting the needs of the society? Are you meeting the needs of the audience, the ones that you are teaching, the clients? So it is good that every 4 years, we usually have that self-assessment where you evaluate yourself, you audit yourself to make sure that you are doing and providing the services that are required by the society and that are updated within the system at the moment. So with this, it has been able to help me. And some of this work that has been done, the research work that I've been able to do within the field. Actually, in the picture, this is me in the field with my partner, who was also working on the flow of water. And we were looking at the flow of the stream during the dry season and the wet season to be able to understand how this environment is working. And usually this river is being used by the local communities, and at the same time, the same river is used by the commercial agriculturalists who are irrigating their farms, and in order to be able to help others to get to the food crops that are available within that system. And especially what they were working on was to irrigate the rice farms within the locality. So this is the work that we were doing. We were interacting with the nature, but at the same time, we were also working with the people within that environment. So this is part of the research that I was able to get to participate in, and it helped me and opened me to be hands-on. And this can be able to be given to to the next generation, to make sure that it is not only being in classroom, in an enclosed environment, but nature, you need to be wet, you need to be muddy, you need to interact with nature and be able to see the processes that take place within that environment. And it will be important to be able to check on this. And during this time, it was in Lake Victoria region. It is a wetland that is called the wetland, Nyando wetland. And during this time, it was a place where it can change. It can really flood, and you may not be able to access it, as you see in this picture. And this was the research. Once I did it, we were able to present the results in a conference. And this was the conference that we gave the results to them. And it was really a good presentation in that environment. So interacting with these people was able to help us to understand better what was happening within the environment, how the people were interacting with the environment, and at the same time could be able to understand how the livelihoods of the people were being affected or being improved as a result of getting the services and goods that are found within this wetland environment. This research work has led to these articles that I've been able to publish in collaboration with my supervisors and those whom we worked together with. And it is dealing with the papyrus wetland. This papyrus is a large vegetation plants, the reeds that are found within the wetland. And we could see that there is some seasonal biomass harvesting within this environment. People are cutting this, the biomass of this papyrus to be able to use within their environment, to be able to continue with their livelihood, for making mats, for making baskets and selling them to be able to earn some income. And this was to be able to see how this harvesting can be able to affect the productivity of that wetland. And at the same time, we wanted to also look at how this harvesting can also influence the nutrient regulation within the system, given that Lake Victoria is being shared by 3 countries more. then there are many people who are really dependent on this ecosystem. And therefore we wanted to understand how best can it be able to assist in the cleaning of that or quality of the water, changing the quality of the water through the uptake of these nutrients within that system. And at the same time, looking at the characteristics of this environment to be able to understand how this environment works in terms of decomposition, in terms of the rate of the growth of this papyrus, and how it can be able to help the people of the community surrounding in meeting their livelihoods, and also in meeting the cleaning system or regulating regulation activities that is being regulated by the vegetation. So by cleaning in terms of leading to water quality that is safe for the people to use, and at the same time cleaning the whole environment of the lake. And how best can that be? Can we be able to manage these environments in order to be able to meet the needs of the livelihoods of the people, for the future generation, also to understand how best these environments can be able to be managed in terms of harvesting and in terms of regulating the activities of humans that is putting crops within the surrounding areas that may affect also. Apart from the academics, apart from the work employment, apart from this, the research work that I've been in the field, I've been also involved in the outreach programs. These outreach programs are also important for not only for people, communities around, or interacting with people, but also in helping people to understand what they can be able to improve on and what they can be able to be involved in terms of trying to help our ecosystem to be able to manage it, and also to be able to understand the issues that are affecting the communities. So at one point, I was able to give an healthy talk within the church. And the first photo is showing the presentation at the church, where I was trying to give them an healthy talk in terms of how you can be able to eat well, the balanced diet, as well as also trying to look at the issues that can be able to affect your health in terms of eating, or in terms of also the environment, the sanitation environment that you are living in, such that these people can also be able to improve the conditions that are surrounding them wherever they are living. And in the second photo, it shows a day out with the youth. As a leader of the youth community within the church, I was able to get involved with them and be able to learn with them, because we could go outside to have a social environment with them where we were interacting with the environment. At this point, we had gone to a nearby wetland, where we were also learning issues that are found within the wetland, but at the same time, we wanted also to understand why this wetland needs to be protected. It is because the people who are living around that wetland were also getting resources from this wetland, and they needed to also have an awareness on the importance of that environment. They could be knowing the importance of it, but they may not be deeply understanding the processes that take place within that wetland that provides good services. And if they are degraded, then it means that they are going to lose those services that are required. So interacting with the youth, it means that passing on the legacy of volunteering in the work, and also teaching them on how valuable these resources are within that wetland. And this was the activity that they were doing within that environment, where they were making some games. At the same time here, I was appreciating the nature. This was a tortoise within an area where we had visited also with the youth. And this is an environment, it is an arid environment where it required to be protected for people to be able to understand how an ecotourism can be established in a dry area where we have animals that are adapted to this environment. And this is where the legacy can also be passed on to be able to teach the young ones to understand that nature is very important. We coexist with these with organisms that are found within the nature, and therefore we need to protect them because they can also have to live. They have a right also to live within that environment. The other outreach programs, we were also having an outdoor activity with the youth. That is me talking with the youths within that environment. And here we wanted to learn more on the way we can be able to teach others and to also get to bring awareness in terms of how we interact with the environment. Here, this was the time when we also went to plant some trees within the landscape. And while having this outdoor, it taught me actually that being young, you can be able to have the strength to do the work. You have the stamina, you have the skills, but now you also want to understand the processes that take place in those areas such that it can be able to help you to manage the environment. It is also a program that has helped me to be able to mentor these young people to become good leaders. Right now, at least we are having several young people who can be able to lead others. We have groups where we are having leadership and mentoring of those young ones who are coming up to be able to teach others on how they can be able to protect the environment, conserve the environment where they are living in, and also be able to manage their waste that they are producing within their homesteads. How can they be able to handle those waste within their homestead? So it is good that teaching them this kind of leadership programs and mentoring them, it will help them to be able to mentor others too. And these young people, they are between the age of 16 to 25. And once we have mentored them, it is possible that they can also mentor others. So each and every individual is also given a group of young people who are between the age of 10 and 15 so that they can also be mentoring. And in this case, it means that I am leaving a legacy that will be able to help others to know about the leadership, to know about the entrepreneurship, to know also to be able to interact with others and spread the gospel, not only to the old people, but also to the young generation that is coming up, whom they will be able to pass on that legacy to the young generation. The next picture is also showing some programs where we are also doing as Christian ladies. We were teaching them about the Christian values, how ladies can be able to behave in an environment where they can be able to interact with others, and at the same time to be a spiritual lady who can be able to teach others on how they can be able to behave ethically and morally. So it is a counseling program where we are interacting with ladies. This was the moment when we were having a counseling program for a lady who was supposed to be married. And once this is a program where we would be able to identify some of the spiritual issues that these people can be able to have. So sometimes it is important that these people can be able to understand and carry on this legacy to others. And once they have understood it, which I know that most of them have already understood, and that is why they have also involved themselves in wherever they are, because some of those who are pioneers are now old enough. They are almost 30 now, and they have moved out. They have gotten jobs somewhere else, and they have moved now to to help others to be able to interact together and get involved in planting of the trees, counseling and mentoring the young people, the 10 to 15 years. We have also, this year we had participated in a Global Youth Day that is involving all the youth within the region to be able to help those people who are also not fortunate in the society. And actually, by doing this, it has been able to help in terms of distributing the sanitizers, especially during this time when coronavirus was really too much in our region. And we distributed these sanitizers and masks mainly to the police force, because this is the people who are interacting with people and doing the security work within our locality. So we went to the city center where we were able to interact with these people and be able to also interact with the street children, and the youth were able to also give books, they gave food and also clothing to the street families. And this is a legacy that I'm leaving to these young people, that there is nothing, you cannot succeed on your own, but you need also to help others by going for an outreach program like this of helping others who are unfortunate in the society. So they'll be responsible people in the society, responsible citizens, that they can volunteer and do sacrifice work that they can be able to do outside there. Not only to be successful on their own, but also make others who are living around them to be successful, even though they may not be able to access the facilities that are required for daily purposes. I've been able also to get involved with volunteer work. And I form this, I usually tell my students and my youth that whom we interact with together that by volunteering, it doesn't really make somebody to be a lesser person, but it can open up for you opportunities and interactions with other professionals. And actually, this is what happened to me. As I was growing up, I went after school, I went to to do some volunteer work within an organization, a government organization. And during this time when I was doing volunteer work, I learned a lot. I interacted with people who are professionals, and that is where my motivation of doing environmental studies came in. And during this time, I got an opportunity also to get to school and got my degree. And this was the time also I got a job because of this network where you are doing your volunteer work, but you are also interacting with professionals. They can be able to recommend you in doing the work. And then at the same time, I've been able to help others bring the fulfillment in life and greater joy than anything. Actually, this helping of others, like for example, the work that we were able to go to the people who are unfortunate, the street children, as well as the people who are angry. This was the time that you feel fulfilled. You feel a greater joy by helping somebody. So it is not that it is something that you only require to get some money or to be paid for doing something, but at least when you make someone else to have a smile in the face, then you feel fulfilled yourself. And I'm happy that I can be able to pass this legacy to others whom we have been interacting with, and they can be able to pass it on, that smile. And these values are shown to the next generation so as to continue that kind of legacy and become responsible citizens. This, I can be able to conclude and say that by quoting a Chinese proverb that states that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Actually, it has been a long journey for me, but it has really motivated me, and I've made a big step to the moment where I am at the moment, because it has given me an opportunity to be able to motivate myself and to know that there is success when you do things, not only the academic work, but also the work that is interacting with others and helping those who are unfortunate in the society. So combination of the studies, work experience, research work, and societal responsibility has made me a responsible citizen, which means that me as an individual, I've been able to interact with people and I've been able to teach others on how they can be able to work and protect the environment. But at the same time, I have involved myself in those activities too. And this is passing that legacy to others to be able to involve themselves, not only sending others to do it, but they can also be able to do it locally within their own homes. So through actions and others, then they can be able to emulate whatever that I have been able to do. So with the accomplishment of my studies, it will mean that there will be more responsibilities, more networking, and more skills to be gained, more knowledge to be gained, and also exposure to other cultures, which can be able to make me a better person, which I'm longing for it. And I feel that my journey will be a success one. So the way forward for me is to accomplish the research work and the assignments that I have for my PhD as a registered student, and at the same time write a book that will be able to have to write to completion and do the consultation with those professionals in my area of specialization. And at the same time, all this will be able to be accomplished because we have these wheels that work together in order to be able to accomplish all this. So the family, the work, the friends, the society, as well as self-motivation. And this AIU has been able to do that for me, which means that it has motivated me since I registered as a student within the AIU. It has helped me to be able to be the person that I am at the moment. And for that, I am grateful to the AIU family. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Priscah. That was such an amazing presentation. We truly see your essence and the legacy you're leaving to everyone with work with the environment. Not only that, but you are already passing it on to the youth. So what advice, we have a lot of students at AIU, obviously, that register as undergraduates for bachelors. What advice would you give them to keep them motivated and work directly with youth and undergrads?
Yes, what I can give to the students who are undergraduate is that is not the end. Motivate yourself. You will be successful. Interacting with others and working so hard to make ends meet, you can be able to succeed at the end. So it is not that the academics alone that you will put yourself into, but also make sure that you can be able to interact with the society, interact with the friends, interact with the professionals that can be able to uplift you, to give you more knowledge on some of the issues that you may not be able to know. But when you interact with them, you can be able to also get an opportunity of getting into some areas where you will not have been able to get into. So it is better for undergraduates to be able to motivate themselves and know that that is not the end. It should not be the end of their studies, but they should also move on to get and gain more skills.
Right, I definitely agree with that. And you said you want to write a book, so that's next for you. Do you have a timeline for that?
Yes, I have a timeline. I've already started. and I was intending that at least my timeline has already passed. I had given myself that I was going to do it in 5 months, but now it has extended, which means that up to next year.
Okay, great.
In
And are
May.
you going to use your thesis work that you're currently doing in your doctorate program as the foundation for your book?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much. We do have a question from one of our students, Franca. Is your mic on? Did you have a question for Priscah? Franca? I don't see
Hello?
her. Yes, is this Franca had a question?
Hello.
Did you have a question for Priscah?
Okay, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I have. Good afternoon. This is Oko Emmanuel from Nigeria. And one of the questions I have for you, my brother, what really gave you the bravery, the courage to carry out this presentation and what you have done for your people so far? Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. So Priscah, I guess the question was, what gives you the courage or motivation to present your work with us here today?
Oh, what gave me the motivation to be able to present the work today is that I wanted to share what I've been able to do within my community, because I told you that as I started this presentation, I said that I'm teaching, and therefore the motivation was that since I'm somebody who is teaching and I've been able to interact with more students, I've been able to assist them to their graduation. Some of them have been able to write even articles that they have been able to present in the conferences, and some of them have even written articles to the journals that have been reviewed. And therefore, this is a legacy that I can be able to live with them, that it is good to be able to assist others to be able to make a step too in achieving their goals. And that is what I've been able to do. And one of the things that you have also mentioned is that I've been able to do with my community to bring awareness on the importance of the ecosystem resources, like the wetlands. Wetlands in our place are seen as some of the resources that may not be able to help people, but these are the places where now the people are depending on. So they need to protect them, they need to conserve them, and they need to use them efficiently, not to destroy them. So in that case, those that have been destroyed already are the ones that we are trying to make them to restore them by planting some of the wetland plants. And there is a program that has already a place where this wetland has already been restored, and it has assisted the livelihoods of the community around. And I've been able to also motivate the youths in terms of teaching them on the values of life, and not only the values of life, but also entrepreneurship skills, and also helping others to be able to mentor them in the right way. And that is why they have been able to also move on in their lives and be able to assist others too in mentoring on how they can be able to protect themselves and also be able to live in an environment that is clean. Yes.
That's great. We do have 3 more questions before we move to the next presentation. The next person that raised their hand can unmute their mic and ask Priscah their question.
Hello, can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for this presentation. Just I wanted to be informed. Of course, I thank you for this presentation because it showed that the resource is very important and the people need to be aware on this this interest to be protected. However, and thank you for this kind of coaching or mentoring you have already mentioned, but I want to be sure that after you, what kind of strategy to be sure that after this mentoring, people will continue to protect these resources, which is very important for the people on Westland. Because sometimes we have many programs or many projects, and after funding, the project are not continue, the community structures are not aware on what is very important. You, as someone who will be in the field, what do you think is there which can guarantee people will continue to protect this environment, which is very important? I am thinking on what action have been taken in terms of capitalization, or in terms of, yes, to be sure that in this proposal or this mentoring, people will continue to work themselves without any support from you or others donors for these resources. I think one of the challenges is how people can take themselves the role and responsibility to protect this environment, which is really important for this area. Just to be sure, what have we done in terms of exit strategy on this project? Yes, I don't know if I am clear.
Thank you for your question. Yes, I guess, Priscah, the question is, with your mentorship, once the students move on from the mentorship, what tools do you give them to ensure that they continue to reciprocate the work that you instill in them?
Okay, one of the things that I know it is working is that after the mentoring, usually you are given an opportunity to be able to serve as a mentor of another younger group, younger than you. So I said that I'm dealing with those people who are between 16 and 25 years, and they are given an opportunity to be able to also mentor people who are also young than them, from 6 years to 15 years. So in that case, if they can be able to be given that opportunity to do that, then it is like passing on that knowledge to the young generation, so that also as these ones grow up, they also take up that role of being mentors or being leaders at their own areas. At the same time, in terms of conservation of the resources, we usually we do some evaluations. We do some audit work. Once we have done, like for example, planting of trees in an area, we usually go back to find out how far those plants have grown, and for how long has it been able to be protected. Like for example, sometimes we grow those plants and then we leave and the place becomes dry. So we want to make sure that once we go there, there are some people who can be able to take care of those trees. And usually we plant the indigenous plants that are suited for that locality. And once we put those people who can be able to take care, because they are within their own locality, within their own area, like for a school, maybe we are planting mainly in schools, in departments or government offices, which means that there are people who are taking care of them. School children, we can use school children, everyone to be able to take care of a tree. And I remember this was a legacy that I was taught also when I was young in primary school. I think I was about 10 years. When we were planting the trees within the school, we were given each and every individual tree that you have planted. You have to take care of it until it has grown to maturity, until you leave that place. So this is the kind of legacy that we were also giving these people, to be able to also take care of that tree until it really gets into a point where it may not be able to die. And then at the same time, within that school, there are people that take care in terms of they don't want to see anybody playing around where the trees have been planted. And this can be able to help them also to take care of them. They have to own it in order to be able to to take care of it. So even in the wetlands, since this is the wetland where they are depending on for their daily activities. Like, for example, this is where they get their vegetables. This is where they get the resources for making their mats. This is where they can be able to fish or get the products that they can sell in the market. They are owning that environment. Even though we have helped them in the restoration, they are the ones who are going to take care of it, because they know this is the place where they are going to get all their resources from. So it's not like we have to pay them to take care of it, but it is because it is theirs and it belongs to them, and therefore they are the ones who are going to benefit from it. They are the ones who will take care of it. So they become the police of their own, taking care, not helping, not having anyone to come and destroy it. So, and that is the issue that has really motivated them to be able to continue in the protection process, because they know that once they degrade it again, it means that they are going to lose those resources.
Yeah, they are accountable, so they feel responsible for it. And I think what you said also about, you know, that you mentor them and then they in turn mentor somebody else.
Yes.
That's the way we show really and resonate what we teach people, because if you're able to teach somebody else what you've learned, it means that you've mastered it. So I think that's a really great way to kind of extend your legacy through the people that you mentor. I think we have time for 2 more questions.
Yes, hello? Can I go ahead?
Yes, Benjamin, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to say a very big thank you to Priscah for a very educative presentation he has given us this afternoon or this morning. You know, I get touched when she presented her slides, and one of the things that touched me has to do with the aspect that she mentioned of helping people. And to me, volunteering is very much important, especially in situations when you have the inspiration, you want to learn, you want to be investigative, you want to ensure that something is being done. I really appreciate that aspect. And then I also see a presentation towards people who are young. And I think involving people that are young in these kind of processes, you know, is an indicative of a sustainable approach. And I do admire that aspect as well. Now, perhaps the question I want to ask Priscah is this. We now know that there is a situation which is global. We have environmental issues that people are trying to address at international level. Now, Priscah, if you are given the opportunity to advise the world in terms of environmental challenges, please, I do admire you, and I know you can provide for us a very salient point this afternoon. What will be your take? What advice can you give the world in terms of protecting the environment to avoid the challenges now we are having? Thank you.
Just ask if you're not talking, can you please mute your mic? Thank you. Go ahead, Priscah.
Okay, the take that I can be able to advise the world is that let us not really put down the people who can be able to work together. Like, for example, the young people, they have the energy, they have the skills, they have the brains. If given the opportunity, they can be able to do so much work. So if they can be able to be involved and being given the direction on what they can be able to do, I'm sure that these are the kind of people that they can be able to build so much and to be able to reach that sustainability that we are looking forward to. They are the ones who can make a change within the society. And secondly, to be able to make or succeed in this world, we also have to involve all the stakeholders. Remember that, as I said, that people will be able to protect the resource because they are benefiting from it. So if we can be able to put aside the indigenous people, then it means that we have not involved all the stakeholders. These indigenous communities, they are interacting with the environment directly. And therefore, because they are getting the resources directly from the environment, then they are the ones who can be able to know. They can give us the ways on how we can be able to manage those environments sustainably. So if we can put together the indigenous knowledge versus the scientific knowledge, then we are sure we can be able to meet that sustainability that we are looking forward, not only for the environment, but also for the health, and also for the educational purposes and other technical.
Well said, Priscah. Thank you so much. It's very true. What we put into our environment is what we reap. Like you said, people see the benefits because they see that they're able to water crops, or that the tree is able to provide oxygen or shade. So these are all things that you're doing amazing for your community. Thank you so much for sharing. We're out of time, but your presentation will be available for anybody to see. It is recorded because it was very inspiring, and keep up the great work. And we look forward to seeing your book. Please share it with us once you complete it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we're ready for our